Hey, this is David Wynn with the Mortgage Edge podcast, brought to you by Click and Close Mortgage. Today, we come from you from Houston, Texas, with a young lady named Shirmel. Shirmel, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am good. How are you, David? Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, the podcast is known for bringing the top realtors from across the country. We already know you're a top realtor, so we won't go over name, numbers, or anything like that. But in Houston, Texas, how long have you been in the business?
I have been an agent for just over 7 years.
Okay. And what did you do before that?
So before that, I was actually the Family Assistance Center coordinator for the military in the Virgin
Okay.
Islands, where I'm from, and basically helping to support military families that had their soldiers that were on deployments. I'm also a
Got
veteran myself.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So you're from the Virgin Islands. You're
I was actually raised in the Virgin Islands. I'm originally from St. Kitts, but I was
okay.
raised in the Virgin Islands since I was the age 3. So that's like
Gotcha.
that's home for me.
And then you joined the military. How long were you in the military? What
I was
branch?
in the army. I was an army veteran, so served for 8 years in the
Okay,
military, and then I worked 6 years as a contractor for the military.
gotcha. And husband, is he still in, or what? What's his story?
So no, so my husband's actually in oil and gas. He is on year 31 in the oil and gas industry and looking forward to retirement.
That's awesome. And then we also know you have 3 kids and one grandbaby. Is that right?
That's right. I have 3 wonderful sons and a grandson too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now that we know your background and historical history, let's talk about the real estate market in Houston, Texas. How is it?
So the market is still booming. So with everything that's going on around the country, even with interest rates, fluctuating, being high last year, specifically coming out of COVID, we still did really well. Our market, our home prices are still better than a lot of parts of the country. So we still are doing good. We're rocking and rolling over here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, with the military background and everything else, how many of your loans are veteran loans or VA loans?
So I would say by about 25 to 30% of my loans are VA. I
Okay.
have um, a special place in my heart for my fellow veterans, and so a lot of times veterans don't know what their benefits are, what they qualify for, how the VA loan works, and so I get really great joy in being able to educate them right on using their benefits.
And toot my own horn, we are a preferred VA lender. VA loans aren't just, they're complicated. Not really complicated. They're easy loans to do. They're the best loans for veterans, or just anybody, because you pay there's no down payment, no PMI. I mean, you get the best rates in the industry.
That's
There's not a
right.
better loan than out there if you can qualify for one. So,
I
but it's
agree.
like you said, it's it seems like our veterans are the least educated of all our home buyers because they just don't know. They try to look at traditional lending whenever they have this great product out there that they didn't even know about.
Right. David, I'll tell you myself, as a veteran, right, and as now as an agent, if I knew then what I know now, I would have done things differently myself. When I purchased my last home, we weren't told about our VA benefits or didn't wasn't told how much there was I could have. I put 20% down on my VA loan.
What?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I am so passionate about educating buyers because no one told me I didn't have to put 20% to avoid PMI.
The lender didn't say anything. He just said, "Okay, you're gonna put 20% down because that's what
They
you want to
allowed
do."
us to put
That's
20% down. And it wasn't a
that is
DTI, it wasn't a DTI issue. It was none of that. It was just me being uneducated and loan
right.
officer not telling me, agent not telling me, salesperson not telling me. And so that's why I'm passionate about educating my clients.
Well, I love that you said that because one of the things we ask for the very first thing is when we get a new client in, the very first thing we ask is, "Hey, are you a veteran?" We even push it because we know that's the best loan out there, and then we
Right.
kind of walk them through the steps of education and how to get in there. But that's awesome. So
Yeah.
Shamel, 7 years in real estate, you're killing it, lady. What's your secret sauce? How are you getting all these customers? Is it organic? You buy leads? What's going on?
So for me, it is mostly organic. So I have probably about 75% of my business is referral based, if not even a
Okay.
little bit more. And I really think, David, that that comes from when I work with a client, I believe in giving exceptional service, right? And I'm not, it sounds cliche, but it's not. I give exceptional service. I treat every client the way I want to be treated. I think about the things that I didn't know when I bought and sell, and I make sure they know. And so everyone becomes family. And because of that, they want to make sure their friends, their family experience that same level of service. And so they just come back. So repeat business, referrals, that's truly where the majority of my clients come from.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, you're doing great things out there. What there's a lot of realtors in Houston, Shirmel. I always like to ask, what makes you different from everybody else? Because I know why you do so well, but you tell our audience, why are you different from every other realtor?
Again, I believe in education. I believe in making sure that you know what your benefits are. I want to make sure that I walk you through holding your hand through the process, truly holding your hand and educating you, right? My service doesn't stop either when I close a client. When I close a client, I'm here as a resource to make sure that anything that pops up after closing, questions that they have, whether it's filing homestead exemptions or, hey, did you tell your tax person you bought a house? Because you can write this or this, certain things off with off your closing statement, right? If you bought points or things like that. And so it's just truly having a heart of compassion, having a heart to serve. And I think that comes from my military background, right? Service above self. And I put that in everything I do. And so I think that it shines through. I'm a genuine and compassionate person, and I think people see me for who I am. And it's never about a check. It's never about the commission. Because I think if you take care of clients, guess what? The commission is going to come because they're going to refer people over and over again. It's never about that check.
Right. Well, the last 2 years in real estate has been kind of tough, right? 2023, 2024, but it wasn't tough for you. How did you just keep going? How did you find your people?
I put myself out there. I am also very involved in my community. I believe in service, so I'm always volunteering, and networking with other people. I'm also never afraid to share information with other agents, and so I have even referral business from other agents across the country, because again, I live a life of abundance, not scarcity, and so I believe that's what's mine is mine, David, and what's yours is yours, David. And if we believe that and we truly operate in that realm, that we will continue to do well.
Well, that sounds awesome. Well, that definitely sounds also from a spiritual standpoint too. So,
Yes.
I definitely believe in abundance. With that being said, 2020, as we sit here, what's it, January 3rd,
January 3rd.
Friday, 2025, third day of the year. You're out there already showing houses and stuff.
I am sitting in my car talking to you, David, because I just literally left the showing.
Wow.
That ran a little bit late. I wrote my first contract for the year yesterday. So already just out there getting it, getting it.
Yeah. So with that being said, we saw an uptick in December, the second half of December. It was kind of nobody was doing anything through the holidays, but as soon as the holidays are over, I saw a massive amount of homes get listed on the market for listings, and a
Right.
massive amount of contracts started getting executed. Are you seeing the same thing down there in the last couple of weeks?
So I would say, well, I was on vacation though, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just coming back from vacation. I would say that even through the holidays, I still had calls. I still had to have fellow agents fill in for me while I was gone, because I did have that uptick in conversations, that uptick in, hey, what is the market doing? What are rates doing? Do you think rates are gonna go down? Do you think rates are stable where they are? And of course, at the end of the year, for builders and for sellers, they don't want to go into the new year with these properties. So
No.
there were tons of incentives, right? And so I think that also drove a lot of the interest in buyers who may have been sitting on the fence. Now there's all these incentives. Let's get it. Sellers are willing to give contributions because they want to get the home off the market.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Are you mostly a buy side agent or a listing agent?
I
I know
am
you do both.
definitely a buy side agent.
Okay.
I love listing. I love working with my sellers, But if I could choose one, if I only could choose one, it would definitely be buyers, because I just love that energy of being able to actually work with the client, take them out, and help them achieve their goals. So it's it's passion. I love my buyers.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. With that being said, as a buy side agent, and you see all these new constructions out there with great rates and incentives, closing costs, and all that stuff. Why why new construction as opposed to pre-existing? Tell me the difference between people's mindset. Because I
Um,
would think everybody would just do new construction.
So I definitely think that there is a home for every person, right? And new construction is not always the best route for a buyer, because when you think about new construction, generally tax rates are going to be a little bit higher, right? If it's a new
Yep.
community, um, you may not have upgrades. So if you have a resale home that someone's lived in for many years, they may have done some upgrades to that home that you're not going to get in a new construction build, right? Um, Development location for new builders, it may be further out of the city, further from where you want. The schools are newer, you don't really know what the ratings are, so there's so many different factors. And I think it's just really comes down to a client. What is a client, what is a buyer looking for, what is their specific need, and how we decide if it's going to be new construction or resale. I think there is just one for each person.
Right. Right. What percentage of your business is first time homebuyers?
Whew. uh Probably a good 70% is first time home
Oh
buyers.
wow, that's big.
Yes. Yep.
That's
First time
big.
home buyers. I love it. You get to educate them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's exciting because they're buying their first house. This is their, you can when you can see it, the excitement in their eyes. You can
Right.
see how excited they are, and it's weird. I remember buying my first house. I think we saw 20 houses, but when we opened the door on this house,
You
we
knew
knew
it.
when we opened the door. You knew the
Yes.
moment that you opened the door that that was the house that
This
we
was the
wanted,
one.
and then
Nice.
you can see it in their faces. You can see how they light up, and it's just okay. We don't need to look see anymore. What do we got to do to get this house?
Right. The other part of it is, again, education, helping a buyer to understand, right? When you go from renting, or when you go from, living with someone, right? Maybe at home, now you get to build generational wealth for yourself. And I
Right.
often have to tell my first time home buyers, it's your first home, not your forever home. Because the biggest thing is they usually want everything in that first home, and you may not always be able to get it, but it's just being able to show them the value of home ownership, how they're going to build their wealth.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. So 2025, what are you thinking, lady? What's the market going to do? Well, actually, before I go back, as we sit here today, interest rates are back in the sevens. They've been creeping up. But
Right.
what's different now than the last year is this: people are buying. People are actually like, people has been kind of saying, no, I'm gonna wait for interest rates to come down. But right now, in this current environment, I think people are finally getting it. You know what? Uh, Date the rate, marry the house.
Yes.
The 7% interest rate is not scaring people right now. And they're saying that rates will come down, but who knows? We don't have a crystal ball. We don't know what's
We
going to
don't.
happen.
We don't.
But right now inventory is as the highest it's been since 2019. This is the highest inventory that we've had since 2019. Still low,
Right.
but it's the highest amount of inventory since 20. It's not the same amount of inventory as 2019, but the highest. It's still about a million shy of what it needs to be in a normal market.
Yeah. That
So
that's
let's
that's interesting. And when you talk about, marry the house, date the rate, right? We also know that once those rates come down, what's going to happen to home prices? They're going to go
yeah.
up. And so now you're going to be able to afford less, right? Because the price is higher. Whereas you can buy the home you want now. And when that rate goes down, you can refinance. You have options. And so I
Well,
think it's about making sure clients know they have options, and they're finally
that's
getting
the
it.
thing. Like I tell people all the time, you're either market to buy or you're not. You know what? Interest rates shouldn't affect if you want to buy a house or not. If you're in the market to buy a house, you're in the market to buy a house. The payment that you pay is what you're paying. Don't worry about the rate. Don't worry about
Correct.
anything else because again, you can always refinance it. At the end of the day, let's just say an average home in the Houston area is now around $450,000. If the
Can you
interest
believe
rates
that?
drop by a point, that means that house is going to go up 25 to $50,000.
Yep. And we
Do you want
saw
to pay
it. We
25
saw
or
we saw that.
Yeah. So do you want to pay $25,000 or $50,000 more in 6 months or a year, or would you rather buy it now and just refinance it in 6 months or a year to get the same interest rate? So
Correct. And
I think
have a
that's
better payment, right? Because now your
and have a
payment's
better
going to
payment.
go out down, but you have the home that you truly desire.
Well, and right now, one thing we learned over the last couple of years is lenders create situations to where we can get a lower rate, just like the new builds. Right? Our big thing is I don't think I've done a purchase transaction that we didn't do a 2-1 buy down. What is a 2-1 buy down?
Right.
That's where buying down the rate 2 points the first year, buying it 1 point the next year, and then the third year is at normal rate. So
Right.
let's just say the rate is 7%. The first year rate on that is going to be 5%. 5%. The second year rate is going to be 6%. The third year rate is going to be 7%. Well, I don't have a crystal ball, but the ideology is in the next 2 years, we're going to refinance this into a lower rate anyways. So you still take advantage of it. And what's great about
Absolutely.
that is guess who pays for the 2-1 buy down? The
The
sellers
seller,
do.
right?
Yeah. Because
Absolutely.
right now the sellers are still doing concessions. They're still doing all that stuff. If the market flips, the sellers are going to stop doing concessions, aren't they?
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why I feel like right now you're seeing the uptick because people are realizing these rates, we have no control, right? Buy now, wait for the rate to drop while the sellers are willing to give you what they're giving you.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, Shirmel, I mean, I could sit here and talk to you all day about the market and Houston and everything else. I know 2025 is going to bring wonderful things for you. Can't wait to bring you back and maybe in 6 months or a year and see how your production is, how your team's doing, everything else. Let's give a shout out to you. I think you also have 2 people on your team. Is that correct?
I
You're, as
do.
a team leader.
I do. I do have two agents, Danella Jefferson and Michael Hitchcock, on my team, and I'm so excited for what they're gonna do this year because my goal is to just allow them to get out there and just kill it, right? Kill it. There's so much opportunities in the market.
That's so awesome, Shirmel. Well, what did we not talk about that we should have talked about today before I let you go?
I don't know. What did we not talk about that? I think just making sure that people understand that home ownership is truly the American dream, right? And that it is the real estate is the guaranteed way to build wealth and generational wealth. And so if you're paying rent or you're paying wherever you live at, you're paying a mortgage, it's just not your own. And so David and I want to help you be able to become homeowners and to start paying yourself and paying money towards building your own equity, building towards your own wealth. And so that's what I really want to make sure that we impart on our audiences. The opportunities are there. Let's help you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, Shamel, if the people in Houston want to find you, and I know they do, how they get hold of you if they want if they want to find you?
They can find me at or call me 832-775-3310. And I'm also on every social media platform, Do One Thing Real Estate.
Oh, that's awesome. And if you're listening to us, or actually if you're watching us live, you saw that go across the lower thirds. Well, Shamel, thank you for being on the show today. I know, if I'm in Houston and I need a realtor, there's only one lady I call. That's Shamel. And if you're a veteran and you have some questions, she's a veteran, guys. She knows everything that you went through. And she knows the VA loan like the back of her hand. So give her a call. She's a very compassionate real estate agent that not only helps veterans but helps everybody out there. So give Shirmel a call, guys, if you're in the Houston area. Well, my name is David Wynn. I'm with the Mortgage Edge podcast. Thanks for being with us today, and thanks for listening.
Absolutely. Thank you,
Happy New
David, for
Year.
the opportunity. Happy New
Bye-bye.
Year, everyone.